It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. The show is brought to you through the support of our sponsors like CartKing.com, Cart-King.com, 877-986-7771. If you've ever thought about going into the mobile cart or kiosk business, CartKing.com is the answer to your needs. They've been working for 20 years with the clients and corporations all across America, providing indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. So you go to the website, Cart-King.com, and you check out the different styles and designs that they have. They'll custom design it for you, custom build it, then ship it worldwide. You call them up, 877-986-7771. You tell them Ed Opperman sent you, get a good deal. And then you call me up and send me an email at oppermanreport@gmail.com. Tell me you bought a cart. I'll give you a free membership, a lifetime membership to oppermanreport.com. Also, plug your business on the air here. Just a little running start there with your new cart or kiosk business. Some coffee, food, souvenirs, those self cases. Cart-King, pure soap flake company. Handcraft fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic oil. You can bathe the body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. You can keep it clean, folks. Now, I've used this stuff myself. The bar soap is incredible. Once you use this soap, you want to cover every little inch of your body with this soap. There's just something about it that feels so good and so clean and so natural. And then when you start washing your clothes in it, it's a whole new experience. Your clothes feel more like they're lasting longer, you know, but also that they're clean. The stuff smells good, you know, and then the soap. So use this stuff to clean your bathtub. It's better than any other product. I'm telling you, pots and ends have never looked better. As a matter of fact, I just used Buzzy tonight. I got to soak this pure soap flake product and get it super clean. You get puresoapflakes.com, greenhorn.com, Amazon 218-625. So mightygold.com, probably heard that for Almighty Gold. Go to almightygold.com, sign up as an try and save this sponsor. Keep them on our show here. Keep them supporting the Opperman Report. Go to almightygold.com, sign up as an affiliate for free. Then you post that link on your website, your email signature line, your Twitter, your blog, all this kind of stuff like that. Anytime someone clicks on that ad, you're going to make some money. So you say you want to support the show, you want to support the Opperman Report, but you don't have any money. This is something you can do right now to make money. You could be putting money in your pocket and putting money in my pocket at the same time. Go to almightygold.com, sign up for free as an affiliate, post a link, make some money, support the show. Emailrevealer.com, go to emailrevealer.com, get an autographed copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. First chapter in there is a little autobiography of my life, abbreviated version. You can't tell everything about my life in one little tiny chapter, but there's some stuff in there for you. Go to emailrevealer.com for locates, adoption investigations, asset searches. We can locate and find hidden assets, bank accounts with the balances. Also, too, what else we do? All kinds of stuff. Locate and identify people from an email address. Do that all the time. You got a lawsuit preparation. I'm a paralegal. You think you got a lawsuit? You don't have money to hire a lawyer. You think maybe you can get a lawyer on a contingency? You got a case. It's like a sexual harassment, sexual abuse. That's the kind of stuff we're all set up for you, for them with that kind of thing for you. Okay, get a hold of me there. Emailrevealer.com. Lawsuit preparation. I'll be right. Here we go. Okay, our first guest today is a returning guest. We've heard many times, Alan Warren. He hosts the radio House of Mystery every night, 5 Friday on KCAA at 9 p.m. He comes on right before me. And he's also on KYH. I know that as well. He's come out with this excellent book, In Chains, The Dangerous World of Human Trafficking. This couldn't be a more important issue we couldn't be discussing right now than anything. I'll tell Alan some stories, personal stories I've had of just this week. I ran into a girl who told me that she was held prisoner in her ex-boyfriend's house for over a year, actually tied to a chair. Alan Warren, are you there?
Yeah. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man. Remind the audience, who is Alan Warren?
I'll let you know when I meet him. No, who am I? I've worked in radio a long time, and I've written books. That's about the crux of it. Went to college, got my master's in music and doctorate in religious studies, and here I am, and I'm a Seattle boy, and that's kind of about it.
Now, I mentioned that you're on KCAA 5 nights a week, 9 p.m., but you're also on KYAH too as well in Utah. What nights are you on over there?
I think it's Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. their time.
That's right.
So their mountain time. I think so. They're 1 hour ahead. And then I play in Seattle where I record a lot at KKNW 1150 a.m. And that's 4 o'clock Pacific.
And how would you describe your show, House of Mystery?
Well, we take a mystery, whether it's crime, history, science, paranormal, and we kind of bring on people that are involved in that. Sometimes it touches on current affairs as well, not just history. And sometimes they're tied together. And we've got a couple of kind of regular host specialists that deal with that, each category. And so it works out pretty good. And we don't take the coast-to-coast side of things, how they kind of promote that everything you hear is true. We actually challenge almost everybody that comes on.
Yeah, that's a breath of fresh air. We see so much people jumping to conclusions all over the place, and just this hysteria to make everything so sensationalized. And then what do we have? What's the reaction we have to that? People mailing bombs, shooting up Walmarts in El Paso just because this hysteria that's going on out there. It's really, man. What do you make of all this? I'm getting nervous.
Well, sometimes it does catch me, and I get really upset or nervous, and I get worried. But then I usually try to go back to some 60s or 70s program documentary, and I realize how they thought the same thing then. The Black Panthers and race riots and nuclear bombs and the Cold War, and everybody thought the same thing then. So it's really sad. I have to go back to old bad times to cheer me up.
Yeah, I think we had this discussion once before. So tell us about the new book, In Chains, The Dangerous World of Human Trafficking. This couldn't be more time... what's that word I'm looking for? It's more apropos.
Time appropriate.
Yeah, apropos for this time. So what do we find in Chains?
Well, In Chains, actually, RJ, the publisher, came to me about it and wanted me to do some work on it. And I hemmed and hawed a long time, almost a year, until I actually started meeting people and getting the stories. And it became so confusing, I had to do an overview of what was going on, the types of human trafficking, where it comes from, and who's the supplier and who's the buyer. So you have to, you have to really outlay all of these different sections. There's more than just what people think, and then you have to go and find out about what's myth and what's real, and then you have to go around and meet people and get their stories. And that sort of it all of a sudden it just captured me, and I got into it, and here we go. And here now a book's out, and it's doing quite well. Pretty good reviews, which always makes me feel good. And I think it's a real meat and potatoes book. It gives you the overview, gives you the details, and it gives you some stories in each section of trafficking.
Let me ask you a question. Now you said that you went around and you met people. Now, because I got to tell you, I don't know if this is unusual for me in my daily life, but I meet a lot of these victims all the time. As a matter of fact, I placed an ad looking for someone to help me. I had this TV project coming up, and I said I need an intern to come down and help me. And the woman who responded turned out she was an ex-madam, and she goes and she rescues these sex workers, people that have been in the sex worker industry. Another time I placed an ad, I needed to find someone to clean my house, and it turned out that the woman was Annika Mack, this famous woman here in Vegas who was held prisoner in a pimp's garage. She was sold from one pimp to another pimp. She got gangrene in her leg and her head. She had to have a finger removed. I had another client one time. I was interviewing a client, and it turns out she was being held captive by her boyfriend at a budget suites over here during our interview while I was communicating. She had no shoes. She had no clothes to get out of there and escape. Now, do you meet people like that in your everyday life?
I don't typically, but with this, I looked for it.
Yeah.
And I think it's appropriate to the city. Certain cities are much worse at it. I mean, you're in Vegas, and everything's about the dollar and luxury and buying and selling, and it's a key place for selling people, especially into sex or servitude and stuff like that. In other areas, you won't notice as much, like New Mexico and Arizona. There's a lot working on farms, and that's not something you come across in your day-to-day life, so they don't get exposed to it. And the other ones in the big cities like Florida, they're trafficking. They're all put in a spa somewhere, 20 to a room with a hot plate, and they never get out. So you don't see it unless you go to the spa.
Yeah, how terrifying is that? You think, we only have one life on this planet. We have one life on this earth to live through, and you could spend it as a slave in servitude to other people.
Oh, it's crazy. And one of the big points was, and just when this was finished, is when, the New England Patriot owner,
right.
He got into a little trouble being in Jupiter, Florida. And so when you go through that, even just a summary of that case, which I have in the introduction, it's really apparent that the laws are set up not to really stop this. Someone like him, he, billionaire, he doesn't have to even show up in court. A lawyer does it. He'll have a fine and just walk away. The girls that were caught up in that, they were brought over from China. They were told that they were going to have a free life. Everything was great. Go to work in America. And they get thrown in this room with a hot plate and 20 other girls, and they have to do these sexual favors for these people because they have to pay off a huge debt for the trip over to America. And so people like that get arrested, spend 6 months in jail, get a record, and sent back to China. And, of course, they are shunned there because of what they got arrested for.
Yeah, and do you want to know what? Trump just he just cut the financing. He just cut the funding for a program for these young sex workers who get arrested and have that criminal record. They've been sex trafficked, and they got a criminal record for it. There was a federal program to get them to get those records expunged, and he just cut that funding. So a lot of people who were caught up in the sex industry were being pimped out, being sex trafficked, and they got arrested because any contact you have with the police winds up in an arrest for these poor people. It's just incredible. You have a victim being used and abused, sold on the street, and they come into contact with the police. You think they would be rescued, instead they get arrested, and now they have a record, and they can't get a job later on in life because when they were being trafficked, they had the constant arrests.
Right. And even the visa that the government sponsors for really abused sex workers taken from other countries, most of those don't get filled. Thousands of them don't get filled. They just get sent back. So there's no real good outcome for them. And the people that run these spas get a fine and a really light sentence. And we found that only about 60% of these trafficking cases that are brought to court actually turn out to be a conviction. 60. So 4 out of 10 walk away.
And is that the sex worker herself, or the John, or the pimp?
Kind of the pimp more than anything, or the person that's trying to run it, whoever runs the organization. And they get away because most people in this work, most of them will not testify. Right. They go into hiding or go back to another country. So there's no witnesses in that way. A lot of them just get off with a light fine. It's a plea bargain, and just let them walk away because, it's not going to win in court.
Yeah. The girl I was telling you about, Annika Mack, who's become, she's like a speaker now. She's when she first came into contact with the police after escaping from this garage, they took her and dropped her off at the emergency room because she had gangrene all over her body. And her first contact with the police was negative contact. And if it wasn't for her stay at the emergency room, they just would have sent her on her way and said, no, we want no part of you. Just, you've escaped. Go,
Yeah, it's not set up for the victim, and people have to realize too that it's not just people they've taken from other countries.
Right.
A lot of these are Americans, and they're, like you said, someone's girlfriend. Quite often, they meet a guy, think he's great, and the guy asks them to move in, and as soon as he does, he takes them and sends them to another city. Like, they have a network of people like himself. They send you to another city, they color your hair, and then they put you online, and that person sells you, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, and a lot of these girls too. A lot of people, it's a woman's choice to get into sex business, but a lot of women, they suffer from mental illness, and they suffer from PTSD, trauma. They've been traumatized as a child, and they get caught up in this stuff. Even I took my daughter, we were going thrift shop, going to the thrift stores, and we went one over on Maryland Parkway over there. That's near St. Twain and Twins, the Maryland Parkway thrift store, and right out in front there was a pimp. And I told her, I says, you see that guy? He's watching for girls to come in your shop so he can target the young girls and grab them. It's just so prevalent. And there's no services to this. I just say, I told the story over and over and over again. This girl, she's dead now. She wanted dead in that self-inflicted gunshot wound down in Arizona. Mental illness, etc. Every contact she came into was arrested. They declared her incompetent to stand trial. They would just release her. Yeah, they released her here at the Clark County Detention Center right there on Fremont Street. Got no go, but right back into the hands of these pimps and these drug dealers. It's designed. Yeah. It's designed failure.
Yeah, it's not set up for any of the victims at all. It's not looked at that, and it gets worse. And it's not getting better. It is getting worse because they're finding more and more, and nothing's really changing, and nothing's set up to help anybody. And they're still not getting any major convictions. Very few.
Well, when you looked into this situation down in that massage parlor with the New England Patriots owner, did you do any investigation into that woman who used to own that massage parlor and became a socialite down there at Mar-a-Lago and taking pictures with Dan Bongino?
Yeah. Well, and the sad thing with that is she owns 19 other spas that are let's say, questionable in that sort of category. So someone like that, they make a huge living of it, and they get mixed in with people like, the president and stuff. And I'm not saying anything illegal, but what they do is they rub elbows with them. They get in with that crowd, and then the people that do want to use her services use them, and she becomes friendly and almost protected in a way.
Mm.
Right, because like when you're in the gang, and they're all kind of, or not all, but a lot of them are using your service, and you're one of them. It becomes like you're part of the team, and nothing happens to them.
Yeah, and with these escort services and these brothels comes blackmail, and with these escort services and brothels become police informants. They're very often involved with acting as informants for the local police as well. I don't see any hope for this situation.
No, it made it tougher on the FBI because when they actually took down Backpage and Craigslist, the sex ads and stuff, when they took those down, now people go to advertise on hundreds of sites. So when we talked to the FBI, if anything, their biggest problem was that now they have to spend a lot more time searching, and they have to do it regularly because it keeps changing. Used to be they could just go to Backpage. They could even identify a victim and send an agent there to get her. At least they could do that, and some was working. It was still only about a 20% recovery rate, which is low, but it was something. Now they have absolutely nothing. And, if you think about it, you have over 100 pages to go to all of the time every day. It takes up a lot of man hours, and then to start actually finding a victim and identifying them, and then going out and getting them. So it's just made the job a lot harder, actually.
Yeah. Now, but besides, is the majority of this sex trafficking? Because you mentioned also too slave labor.
Yeah. No, actually, sex trafficking is probably the one in decline the most as far as the U.S. and Canada goes. But yeah, there's tons of others. The labor is still really big. With all the raids and the immigration and stuff, it's becoming even harder because anybody that really is in, the farm business, they know that they need a lot of labor and they can't get it, and it gets harder, so they start going to brokers, they call them, and buying their slave labor is what they're doing. And so it's not really, it's not helping what the government's doing. It seems, if anything, mixing up, plus it gets everybody mad because of the way they're doing it. I've never seen a federal government be more, boisterous and talk about how many raids they do and how many families they rip apart and all the problems they cause. And yet there's still less deportation out of this administration than there was from Obama. Obama was able to do it without all the hysteria.
Mm.
And I'm not even saying I'm promoting one president over another. I'm just saying, look at how it is, the facts. He's making a big display of how he's treating immigrants and people of other races, and at the same time not getting any more of a job done like he tries to think he does or says he does.
Yeah, the two biggest raids of these immigration raids, one was 7-Eleven workers, and then this next one was the most recent one was 700, huge raid, in a chicken processing plant. So these are all people that were employed. And the chicken processing people belong to a union. They were union workers. They're getting paychecks, paying union dues. And just think, the person at 7-Eleven, this is the one that sells you your coffee in the morning. This is the person we want to kick out of the country. But they're working. What? I joke around with this person every day.
Yeah, and the worst part about that is that, I'm still, you hear all this, they're taking our jobs and stuff. Yeah. Well, they're taking jobs that you won't do, that they can't fill. They have to be realistic about this. I don't know too many people that can actually say to me, I personally lost my job to an immigrant, except for Michelle Obama.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. To Melania. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she lost her job to an immigrant. I mean, it's kind of, that's ironic.
Yeah, we laugh, Alan, but it really is. It's so tragic.
It's really sad. Yeah. I mean, you have to laugh. It blows off steam because it's really upsetting. Now, when we go to the largest trafficking thing in the States right now, it's the organ trafficking.
Ooh, okay. I did a show about that a while back. What did you come up with?
Well, we came up with the prices of what happens. The health organization, the World Health Organization, said that there's about 70,000 transplants done each year from trafficking. So it's huge. And people pay anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 for a body part. And, like a heart, a liver, what else was big? Skull, teeth work, scalp, eyeballs. You would not believe it. A kidney is $262,000 right now.
Now, how does that work, though?
Well, there's brokers that in the same thing. For the most part, they're brokering it from other countries. So there's someone in that country. They're set up, and some countries have legalized so you can sell parts of your body while you're alive for money. So in those countries, it's easy. They just put ads in the paper and say, well, give me a kidney, $10,000 or something, right? And people can do it legally. In other countries, they actually take it from people, and sometimes forcibly, and sometimes they trick them into it. So that's kind of how that goes.
Yeah, but Alan, it seems like, okay, if that's kind of a practice or a crime that I wanted to stop, it would be pretty simple. Because you or I, if we wanted to have a kidney, right? You don't walk into your doctor's office and say, hey, I brought my own kidney. You know what I mean, man? So, like, what about the doctors in the hospitals? Aren't they asking, hey, where'd the kidney come from?
No, we see that's an interesting point because NBC just did an investigation, and it was in Chicago. And what they found was people were actually selling their organs on Craigslist for even up to $30,000, and it sounds funny because so the broker obtains it, and then they sell it. And what they found, they could sell it for, depending on what it was, is they found that there was a group of hospitals in the U.S. that were buying these parts for the doctors. Now, the doctors' response were, well, we didn't know they were trafficked organs. We had no idea, right? So they claimed, ignorance in that state. So what happens is nothing. You got a group of people that are sending things around, and it goes to the hospital, and the hospital must know that they're buying. Because I would think it confuses me how they can kind of get away with it, but they continue to.
Well, right off the bat, you say there's a broker. Is there a license for this broker to license to do this?
No. Well, in some of these other countries there is.
Right.
But in North America, no. But what they do is they broker it to a salesperson who, in essence, goes to hospital groups and chains indirectly and sells to them. And what happens is really rich people in general that are on the waiting list don't want to be on a waiting list.
Right.
So they actually walk in and say they want it to the hospital administration, who in essence says, okay, this is going to be the cost, and then they just work it out. You get your doctor to do the thing, and I guess in a sense the doctor is indirect. There's you can't really do much to the doctor, but in a way you kind of have to know that like you have this rich guy comes in and you're the doctor and says, well, I need this transplant. You put him on the waiting list. It's like a 14-month waiting list or something for that part. And what happens? All of a sudden, you're getting set up for a surgery in a week with it. It's like, well, how did that happen? How did he get ahead of the list? The doctors just don't ask, but they're intelligent enough to know that it got there somehow, and it got to the top. They got to the top of the line some way.
I find it hard to imagine that you or I could just walk into a hospital with a bunch of human body parts and saying, I want to sell these. Where'd you get them?
Well, that's it. Well, they do it through an administration, so it's all done. It's all done on paper in an office somewhere. And the other thing we found, there's, and this was just released too recently, was the Chinese hospitals that are run by the State Communist Party. Now they do massive amount of harvesting of body organs, and they traffic them. Really, is what they do, sell them. In 2006. In just one of their hospitals, there was over 10,000 organs of prisoners taken by force. So they take their prisoners' body parts, and they sold them, and they received over $1 billion. And you can see that in a documentary called Human Harvest. And it's really eye-opening. And you know where most of those body parts went? To the U.S. and the U.K. So they have their way of getting it, market it to the people in the country. So they have their connections, and I guess that's why they get their brokerage fee.
I think we're in the wrong business, man.
I know.
This is just
start picking up people and selling their parts. I just think that's crazy. Now, what I did too is I mentioned a few out in here where people, the old story of they were out partying and they woke up the next day in the shower and someone took their key. That old shit. But we actually found people that this sort of happened, and this happens a lot in some countries in Europe. And people would go out, college students in the party, and they'll be set up some gorgeous girl who takes them home. And then the next morning they do, and they've had surgery. And we had that with a story with a guy from the UK that was studying to be a lawyer. And that happened to him in Georgia, what it's called now. And so these things are happening. And in the U.S., we have a couple of accounts where, the body was, of a dead young man. When they did the autopsy, there was body parts missing. And we don't really know how that happened between the death and between the autopsy. So it's happening here, too. Smaller degree,
That's just incredible. Let's take a little commercial break. We're with Alan Warren, just discuss a horrific topic here, man. Very excellent book, In Chains: The Dangerous World of Human Trafficking. Really need to shed some light on this. Maybe we can make some changes in this. But then again, you need the transplants too. On the other hand, we'll be right back with more of Alan Warren right after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe add new point-of-sale locations across the country quickly, or bring in revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services to your office building, warehouse, or lobby? CartKing.com is the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail, coffee, food carts, and kiosks that money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. That's www.cart-king.com. Give them a call at 877-986-7771. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you. So you go to the website, CartKing.com, you check out their different designs and models. You pick out which design applies to your business. They'll custom design it for you, custom build it for you, and ship it worldwide. CartKing.com.
Hey you, podcast listener. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. Take the blue pill. You wake up in your bed and go back to listening to mundane podcasts that won't challenge your religious beliefs and your so-called truths about reality, the universe, and consciousness. Take the red pill. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast, hosted by Mark Anthony Peterson, and he will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Event Horizon takes a walk into the paranormal with a splash of conspiracy. It's the podcast that would be born if David Icke and the X-Files had a baby. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast by Mark Anthony Peterson on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Remember, all we are offering is the truth, nothing more.
PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of the Castile soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with pure soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. Order today at PureSoapFlakes.com, GreenHome.com, Amazon.com, or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. We're talking to Alan Warren, who's the host of the House of Mysteries. You can catch him every night, Monday to Friday, 9 p.m. on KCAA. Also, to author of this book, In Chains. Author of many, many books. We've had him on a dozen times. The guy writes a book like I read a book. In Chains, The Dangerous World of Human Trafficking. In fact, pretty much the only books I read are the one Alan sends me, to tell you the truth. I have such bad eyesight. In Chains, The Dangerous World of Human Trafficking. Now, we covered so far it's sex trafficking, organ trafficking, too. You mentioned here about how the Chinese Communist government, they do this thing with the prisoners. They're taking organs out of the prisoners. But what about our own government? You were telling me off the air about some stuff about this, these detention camps.
Well, yeah, the biggest thing that people have to know about that is the government has leased to two companies about 75% of those detention centers, where a lot of people are held, mainly the immigrants, during the process, whether it's legal or illegal immigration. They're all held in the same places. And what they're basically doing is asking those people to work for them, and they'll pay them up to $1 a day. And if they refuse to work, that's when they don't get the toiletries. So when they're talking about the toothpaste and toilet paper and towels and all that sort of stuff, you only get that on the days you actually agree to work for them. So in those 75%, that's how they operate. And then when they take you out to work, they bus people out to farms mainly, or construction sites, and they get paid from that business for the employees, and they're only paying up to $1. And last year, over $2.4 billion were supplied by these two companies in lobbying for the administration that's in now. And now I'm not going to pick on this particular administration because this has been going on for years. This is not a new thing with the Trump administration. It's just an ongoing process.
But what is kind of a new thing, though, is that John Kelly, the former chief of staff, left the White House to go work for one of these companies.
Yeah. There's more money in it. It's really all about the money. It's all about the what you're getting out of it. That's what it is. It's not about the people have just become a product. They're just another number, kind of like how we treat animals a lot. It almost goes in the direction of that's next. We're treating humans like animals, and next we'll be using them for our food supply. It sounds kind of really far-fetched and kind of weird, but look how we're treating other humans now.
Yeah, and the beef industry is unsustainable. There's no way we can continue producing beef to supply the population growth. It's impossible. But you're telling us with these detention centers that immigrants fleeing poverty, fleeing oppression, fleeing dictatorships, fleeing gangs, come to our country seeking asylum, committing no crime, present themselves at the border. Even someone who committed no crime present themselves at the border for asylum. We then take them, put them into a privately run detention center, and then that detention center coerces them into slave labor for $1 a day or $1 an hour?
Up to $1 a day.
$1 a day.
And yeah, it's crazy. Even the National Immigration Justice Center said that there's like 48,000 people being held typically in the 200 immigration detention centers, and 2/3 of those are what's owned by two private companies, contractors,
right,
and detainees up to $1. Now, they also claim if they don't work, not only do they get the toiletries, a lot of them claim that they're being punished. They get hit and beat, and there's all sorts of claims, and we can't really verify how much that really happens. It's really kind of about it, the current administration just requested $2.8 billion to expand these detention holding centers to 52,000 beds. So they're very aware of how many inmates they've got. And remember, under our law, that you cannot make even a person that's being charged with a crime work. That's against the law. We've never actually done that. We've done it with convicted felons before, right? But not people just waiting for immigration, or people that are broken or being charged with something. You don't put them into work camp, right? It's just the whole thing is bad.
Now, and just to clarify one more time, because we mentioned China. This isn't happening in China. This is in the United States of America.
Yes, this is what's
is
going
our
on right now.
Okay, this is
and this is all you can. This is all very verifiable.
Yeah.
You can go and check out all of this, and even in the book, I've got all of the where I get everything from, because this is very important. Plus, I don't want to be sued. But even the Federal Immigration Center will tell you all of this stuff. if you ask. But they're, so it's a huge amount of money. What we're doing is we're paying the government, pay companies to traffic people into detention, and everybody makes a profit.
So basically, we see a system of your book, In Chains, uncovers a systemic system of sex prostitution, sex trafficking, where there's basically people are just put into this cycle of jail and release, and no prosecution for the pimps or the traffickers. But then the victims being deported back to their own country where they didn't have to suffer stigma of arrest. No services for the victims, the women being trafficked. Another system of organ trafficking, again, where the rich and the hospitals are making money off of this. No questions asked. Just bring us a wheelbarrow full of kidneys and we'll take them off your hands. It's just fascinating when Alan, man, this is incredible. And then this right in our face, this detention center thing, which I'm watching right now as I'm talking to you. They're showing up screens of these kids and shots of these kids in cages. And again, too, the kids being separated from their parents with no accountability where to return them to their parents. The parents get deported. The kid's still here.
Yeah.
So overall, what do you see here? A systemic slavery.
It's sort of, yeah. I mean, listen, the U.S. has always been very efficient at getting things done.
Right.
And that was their strength. But their strength was only because of slave labor. The country became the fast-growing industrial complex it did because of slave labor. And we have to realize that. So this is just the modern way of slave laboring. You know what I mean? It's just a way of getting the work done and off the backs of others while we make a huge profit. It's just, we just don't care about other people is what we're doing or saying from our actions as a country.
Just had a guest on, Joseph Green. We were going to do a show about Mitrione, the guy, the CIA agent that was friends with Jim Jones from People's Temple, who was going around teaching other countries how to torture their dissidents, and then he himself was kidnapped. So I had on Joseph Green to talk about this. In the first half hour, we got off on this tangent about how capitalism has never worked without slavery. And here we have Alan Warren, coincidentally, bringing us the same information. Just fascinating.
Yeah, it's pretty depressing, actually.
It really is, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, and that the worst part is you look at it and go, what's the answer?
Yeah.
I feel like the whole administration, the government set up, even the Congress, I don't care what they are politically, but there's just no progress being made. There's nothing being done. These people are supposed to work for us to run the country. They're the administration. And they're not accomplishing anything, and all people do is fight over Trump and his bad tweets every day. And the economy's great, and the Lord sent Donald. It's like, well, this is a terrible, terrible thing happening because we're getting very callous with other humans when we're making them slave labor, we're making them sex trafficked, where they become a product. They'll be in the store. You'll get yours on Amazon.
Yeah, we have that now. We have these dating sites, where people just click a picture, and it's so disposable too, and people treat each other like we're just disposable. Block them, I don't want to talk to them anymore. It's just what? Yeah. Well, how old? You're my age, right? Yeah, you're a little bit older than me.
Yep. I'm old.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
No, I'm 57 now. So.
Did you 57?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 57 too. I'm going to be 57 in September, so you beat me a couple of months.
Yeah, just not too long.
If I make it. Now, in your research for this book, because I had stumbled upon some stuff and I was researching foreign adoptions, and I discovered that this same kind of pattern exists too in the adoption industry too as well. These foreign adoptions, and then a lot of those adoptions fail, and there's a resale of these kids where these kids are marketed, and they even describe them on some of these websites, like we were saying before, as these damaged kids. Well, they're very sexual promiscuous, and she's involved in alcohol and drugs. 11-year-old girl, a very obedient little boy, who's and there's no accountability for this. There's no oversight of any of this because these are all privately run adoptions. Did you run across that in your research?
Yeah, it's there. It's there. With that in particular, that's been going on, I think, for a long time, long time, and it's weird how that, again, you have to be in a wealthier situation. I just think that the wealthy set up these systems so they can get what they want while they're here, and they want to be able to buy their way, buy their kids, buy their kidney, and the unfortunate thing is, people go, well, that's, if they don't feel anything for the ones being used, or they think, well, it couldn't happen to me. It's like, well, how long before you get put in the category where you're sellable and you're just a product?
Yeah, all we have to do is just label these migrants, these poor people trying to enter our country, as illegals, and no matter what happens to them, well, they're illegal. Who cares? They're illegal, aren't they? Like we should be, treating people. Even we don't even treat prisoners, convicted murderers, convicted rapists as badly as we treat some people.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that we're in the world today, or especially in the U.S., where 1/3 of the people want to kill the other 1/3, and the other 1/3 is just going to watch it. And do nothing. And that's the thing that bothers me the most when I see violent acts happening in the cities, like even in Seattle, where it's very passive, and you see someone screaming at someone else and pushing someone around. What is everyone doing nowadays? Just pretending it's not happening.
And take a picture with the video and stepping in.
Yeah, it depends on how young they are. But that's, it's nobody's really stepping up and doing anything. So if you think that you're okay because you're whatever, and, you've got a job and you make, $70,000 a year, I'm fine. And it's like, well, one day you might be in a category that you're being judged for. And when it's your turn, just as you did nothing, they'll do nothing. And that sounds like the same old story that we heard with the Nazis, and you think we would have learned. But I don't think so.
No, I think that the Nazis have learned. I think the Nazis have gotten better at controlling the masses and separating us. Now everybody's staring at their phone all day long. You don't even talk to the guy sitting next to you at the car dealership today. I was getting my car serviced. You don't even talk to the guy sitting next to you. Everybody's staring at their phones. So the more we're isolated. But Alan, the question is, the average person, I don't care who you talk to, even prisoners, the most hardened prisoners, the most hardened criminals I deal with, nobody wants to see children victimized. No one wants to see kids sex trafficked. Everybody's against this. But here you describe in your book, In Chains, over and over and over, a systemic sex trafficking, human trafficking, child labor, child slavery, harvesting organs from children. If the average person is so against this, why isn't there an organization like Mothers Against Drug Driving, or a big organization? Because they got a bunch of laws passed. You can't even have 2 drinks without getting pulled over now, or a checkpoint without getting pulled over. Why isn't there the same outrage over this?
Well, I can't explain human. They confuse me. There is some organizations out there and trying to do things, and actually the cover of the book is blue because January is Human Trafficking Month, and Thursday you wear blue. But most people don't even know that. I don't know why it doesn't catch on. We have lots of evidence that's gone. We see lots of things. We talk to lots of people. Why? Why don't humans step up? I don't know why. They're more interested in Trump's tweets and the response to it than they are things like this. I don't get it either. I think what it is when it happens to you, you become involved. But until then, people sit back and let it happen.
I one thing here in the United States, we've become so accustomed to solve every problem with calling the police and having somebody arrested, or creating a new law to have somebody arrested. And here we have victims. Now, how do you help a woman who's on the street, mental illness, on drugs, and being sex trafficked? You arrest her too, and that's what they do. They arrest her. That's what we're doing. Alan, we're out of time, brother. What do you want to do?
A good feeling. It's a wonderful day. I don't know what to say. If you want a really good overview of human trafficking, that's what this book is about, and it's about awareness, and it's about spreading it around and telling other people, and that's all we can do right now, and hope that something good comes out of it.
Yeah, Alan, thank you much. It really is an important book. In Chains, Dangerous World of Human Trafficking. It's written by Alan R. Warren and R.J. Parker. You can catch it on Amazon. Alan, thank you so much, man. Anytime you have something you want to educate the audience about, let me know, and we'll put you right on here, okay, man?
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Good night. Okay, you have Alan Warren. You can find him every night, 5 nights a week, Monday to Friday, at 9 p.m., right before my show, House of Mysteries. Check it out. It has a lot of the same kind of shows and content guests that we have here at the Opperman Report. So thank you so much, Alan Warren. We'll be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe add new point-of-sale locations across the country quickly, or bring in revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services to your office building, warehouse, or lobby? CartKing.com is the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail, coffee, food carts, and kiosks that money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. That's www.cart-king.com. Give them a call at 877-986-7771. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you. So you go to the website, cartking.com, you check out their different designs and models. You pick out which design applies to your business. They'll custom design it for you, custom build it for you, and ship it worldwide. cartking.com.
Hey, you, podcast listener. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. Take the blue pill. You wake up in your bed and go back to listening to mundane podcasts that won't challenge your religious beliefs and your so-called truths about reality, the universe, and consciousness. Take the red pill. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast, hosted by Mark Anthony Peterson, and he will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Event Horizon takes a walk into the paranormal with a splash of conspiracy. It's the podcast that would be born if David Icke and the X-Files had a baby. Subscribe to the Event Horizon podcast by Mark Anthony Peterson on Spreaker, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Stitcher, or any of your other favorite podcast platforms. Remember, all we are offering is the truth, nothing more.
PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. Order today at PureSoapFlakes.com, GreenHome.com, Amazon.com, or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. Thank you so much, Alan Warren, House of Mysteries. You can check him out right before my show on Monday to Friday on KCAA. In Chains, the Dangerous World of Human Trafficking. And I got to tell you, I was talking to Alan about that. I says, hey, I meet all these people that are being trafficked. And he says, well, that's Vegas. He says, you live in Vegas. But one of the women who is just dating, she was in a situation where she was held prisoner in a house that had locks on the inside and the big fence and the gate around. She couldn't get out. And she was held there for a year or 2 years. I think that was her husband that kept her locked up in there. So there's a lot more common. And all these cases I'm telling you about aren't in these statistics you're hearing that's talked about. Matt is considered a prostitute. She's not considered a victim of sex trafficking. And this girl I was just telling right now was held kidnapped by her husband. She never reported that to the police. This Aka Mac is, well, Mac she's considered, she's probably not statistic. But we just had a case to me that I'm working on. I'm trying to get out there. Is these girls being sex trafficked by famous rap star. who was getting these girls and bring in, and then take them to a different city as groupies, and take them to a different city, dump them off, they're on drugs, they're half dumped in, and they're being picked up these pimps. There was one he was never connected to it. A major arrest where girls had she was in chains, naked, in a house with no furniture. That was one out of 50 girls, it was on this tour being a sex offender. So a lot of these statistics, man, it's just only a fraction of what's being told. As adoption, this foreign adoption cases that was held in trailers and being used as minor farm workers as well after being adopted out. And it's that second option. The first adoption fails, and then the second one is where there really is no paperwork. And only they just got power of attorney. You turn over power of attorney to take this kid to adopt and take them to register from school. But there's no guardianship or custody at all established for these kids. It's a really murky area. There's more paperwork registering a car than there is for adopting a kid. If you like today's show at OppermanReport.com, we cover these topics all the time. There's a migrant issue with asylum seekers and the abuse of federal prison system, the abuse of all jails and systems, abuse prisoners. Here in the United States of America, where 1 out of 5 people have a record or on jail, probation, parole, or in jail. 1 out of 5. Check out OppermanReport.com. That's where our member section. You want the show on the air, you can member little $6 a month. Or if you want to discount, give you 13 months for $65, you contact me directly at OppermanReport@gmail.com. I'll give you a discount. I'm trying to raise money to get my kid off the college, taking her to the DC next week. That's why I'm taping shows right now, so don't miss a show. So I'm working over to many, many shows in the can here. Thank you, Alan Warren in Chain, coming to help me out there with that. So that's about that. You sign up there and become a member. If you want to advertise on our show, we're adding new stations every day. Great advertising opportunities. We just did Apple Plays, I think it's called. And that's to increase your listeners by 20%. So you want to advertise, it's a good time to advertise. At OppermanReport@gmail.com with great low advertising rates. Plus, I'm looking at picking up another station, too. Or actually another network of stations. A bunch of little AM, FM station package I'm looking at. So thank you once again, Alan Warren, House of Mysteries, 9 p.m. Monday to Friday, KCAA. We come on right after him, 10 p.m. And the same kind of subjects, topics. You like his show, you like my show. If you like my show, you like his show. Thank you so much, Alan Warren. Good night.